I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and with me today is the reigning Mind Sports Olympiads Grand Prix silver medalist, the highest rated player in Finland, and the world record holder for the highest rating ever in classical Carcassonne and many other titles, Otto Ikonen, also known with his screen name Naleheim. Hi, Otto.
Hello everyone, it is nice to be back so soon, and now with a double stream, so double the fun. And we are also going to be seeing how my words from your last stream have become reality for the people who were listening very carefully last time, know what I'm talking about. So it is a sort of a bittersweet moment, but we are going to be cheering everybody here from here on out with full strength.
Well, I will certainly elaborate on the bittersweetness here. This mainly refers to the second match. So we're going to see the final. So an hour from now, we're going to see the final of the second qualification, of the second group of the second qualification between Carl Verheiden of Belgium with the screen name 71 Knives and the Australian player with a spectacular screen name Megot, Noskill. And of course, these are both players with whom Otto has a special relationship, because Otto was also playing in this final. I mean, not in this final, but in that qualification group. But we're going to look at that bracket a little bit later, because the match that is starting right now is between Daniel Ayala of Mexico and Lord Terrycloth of the UK. They had some... so Lord Terrycloth... He had a relatively smooth tournament, some difficult matches, and one loss. So generally, quite a bit of a surprise, as he gained his master title very recently. So this new British master is certainly showing some spectacular Carcassonne, and Daniel has been around the block a couple of years rather. Won the US National Championships and a bunch of other tournaments. So Daniel has the experience here. Mr. Lord has the, I don't know, the youth at least. We don't know his actual age. We just know that it's youth when it comes to Carcassonne. We're going to look at how these players went through the bracket a little bit later, because the match is just starting. I've already opened it. So... but I guess the main thing you need to know is that whoever wins this best-of-3 series today qualifies for the Carcassonne Champions League, and whoever loses doesn't. So two very, very simple matches today, the qualification finals, and away we go. So Mr. Lord here with the green meeples has a bit of an advantage, as Daniel makes a rather dubious move. Otto, I'm going to give you the floor in just a second. I know you're going to have a couple of things to say about leaving an empty city cap next to your opponent's monastery. So, Daniel's playing with the blue meeples here. And the British player is playing with green. Neither player have scored. A slight advantage for the Brit because of the 5-point monastery, and now equalize the 3-point road. This city cap next to the road of green is difficult for me to understand why this generous donation was made by Daniel. So maybe Otto, you have some ideas about it.
I gotta say, I'm just as flabbergasted as you here. I don't see that 3-point road being all that valuable. I mean, yes, it takes away a 3-point road with a crossroad, but there was already another 3-point road available. And like, if you want to take away a 3-point road, and you better make sure that it is the only one of its kind, especially if you are kind of more or less throwing away a city cap right next to your opponent's monastery. And what I really would have liked to see from Daniel is to go on the left, start a new city next to the 1 point city of Lord Terrycloth, and threaten the unification of all of the city parts, which would have been a very safe move in my opinion, and would have created additional threats, and it would not have given away a city cap, nor it would have given 1 point to the monastery of Terrycloth. So I'm also kind of surprised that Daniel didn't actually make that move already with the second city cap that he started with. Like, even though like he did start the 4 point city that he that is now completed, he did start it in a way which allows for a loop road to happen. And he did start it in a safe place, but I mean, again, starting a city next to your opponent's 1 point city on the left was also super safe anyway.
Agreed, and looks like Mr. Lord here is making the move that you were suggesting for Daniel earlier. Now it is green that started a new city with the intention of drawing a Dorito tile and a triple city tile and trying to eat up those points. Doesn't quite work as he is being pressured a bit from above by blue, but he draws a nice tile that gives him 4 immediate scoreboard points, and he still starts a new city and has the idea of taking over the shared city with 2 Doritos and a cow tile, still 4 cow tiles available. And this is actually quite nasty threat. It's a bit difficult to do something about this. And note how Daniel's plan, as extravagant as it was working temporarily, because earlier blue managed to place this curve over here before green drew a city cap that fit into that square, but because there were multiple of this sort of tiles available still, green just happened to draw a city cap that he needed already now. And a lot of things have happened. Green has a lovely monastery over here, which is being a bit pressured from above by Daniel's city. Green has a 7-point monastery over here, which is close to completion. And green even dropped his last meeple on the farm, which I find pretty interesting. So it will cost green a couple of points. So now he cannot score with this road, so he can either go over here, and that will cost him 3 points actually. Yeah, so he could probably get a meeple back, or he could go over here or over here next, build up his monastery, but then still he will be unable to score for the monastery. And I think he's trying to really be efficient here, so he really does not want to give up that value. So he wants to first draw a straight line to free up his road meeple over here. Then he wants to draw another straight line to free up his monastery meeple and score 3 points. But then the question that I have, isn't that a bit over-relying on straight lines? So I'm wondering, Otto, would you have dropped the last farmer that over here, or would you have preferred a more patient move?
I don't think I would be as, let's say, excited over meepling the 6-point field with my last meeple as Terrycloth, but after having watched a few of his recent games to get to know a bit to his playstyle, it does seem that Lord is one of those players who is definitely not afraid of doing extremely aggressive meepling. Like he's just not, he just doesn't care about meepling of using his final meeple if he can get value with it. But now I do somewhat question whether this value is enough here, because like a 6-point field is good and all that. Like it has a lot of expansion potential, but the reason why I don't like this in this scenario is because all of his 3 meeples without the monastery were in a situation where they were really close together, and getting any of those meeples back with any tile will affect 2 of his other features that he can get meeples out from, which is really not that great if you think about it. So it was there was there was certainly a case to be made that Terrycloth could have been without meeples for a lot longer actually than he now was, if he well, depending on whether he was willing to push for few options to his plans, for example, trying to actually take over the small city with a couple triangles and triple cities. But yeah, I don't really see his position being all that great when there are no meeples in use and it is such an early stage of the game.
And yet somehow he sort of managed to wiggle out of it, as this square is still somehow saved, even though he did endanger it after completing his top city. As you said, he's now about to continue another city. This square is also saved next to his monastery, and there's still 4 straight lines in the deck, and he could get 1 or even 2 of them. 69% chance or 11/6 chance that you'll be able to get both of these tiles actually, and a really high chance, way over 90%, 94, 95 or something like this, that he'll be able to get at least one of those tiles. And also what's important is that Daniel's farm at the top is worth only 6 points and it's kind of cut off. There's still 1 road monastery remaining that could unify all the fields and give blue a majority on the farm. But we're still kind of far from that happening, and this is certainly preventable. Also, an interesting thing is that, in theory, as green, we don't even have to place a straight line over here. So we can actually be perfectly happy with this blue farmer being at 3 points and our road being at 5 points, and just not let blue into the field. And if anything, we might want to force blue to place a straight line over here, so that blue is forced to give us back a road meeple when they connect to the field. Another interesting thing about this position is that even though green is the one which has meeple trouble, now both meeple counts for the players are equal, and certainly, especially with a scoreboard lead for green, you have to prefer green here. For example, now he could go over here at the top, disrupting a city potential and also, of course, preventing the monastery idea that we talked earlier. Or he could go above and break the city cap that's in Daniel's field, although there is some negative scenarios there available as well. But while he makes a decision, let's just catch up with the chat a little bit. Yeah, but instead he chooses to place the last meeple again. I'm extremely aggressive, and I think this one just has to be a bit too much. I see, Otto, you're also shaking your head. But before I let you just criticize that move, let me just say hello to hi Andres, hi Glavir, hi 71 Knives. Good luck in your match later in 48 minutes, and hi Ian. So Otto, this move over here, your comments please.
I am gonna have to go and say that it is pretty let's say wild or optimistic, maybe both. Well, we do see again that Terrycloth does not give a
family friendly.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of words for family friendly,
but we all know what you mean, right? So we can just
yeah. Well, he's not again afraid to drop his meeples, but I think he might not be in as good of a position as he might think he is, because he needs well, first of all, he needs the straight lines to 2 places to get meeples back. Well, really only to 1 place, but you get the idea. And his city at the bottom, which is only, well, it's only in as in quotations, is only one city cap away from being completed. It is now getting attacked, and it is in a pretty, let's say, unfavorable position, as it can be restricted heavily to either a starting tile, which there is only one remaining, or to the triple city, which there is also only one remaining, which will be kind of painful. On top of that, he only has the dagger that he can get his monastery meeple out with on the right, but that's a very volatile plan, because it also allows threats of Daniel completing his massive city, and that dagger also holds the two meeples of Daniel in place. So I do have to agree with Terrycloth that I don't think we should actually place it there, even though we would be getting the meeple back. But now it was the final dagger, and we can be sure at least that the big city of Daniel is not going to be completed. And with Terry going for a different kind of plan, not trying to complete the city with triangles, but instead with city caps with field, there is certainly a more hopeful chance, let's say, for him to get meeples back, as he now does. But it also puts him in a position where he needs not only the city caps with road, but also with city caps with the field, which does save this position a little bit.
Yeah, and it looks like it will end up working out, because he got a meeple back. He's ahead 13 points on the scoreboard. I believe it was the last straight line. Let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I think there's one more left or something. So, but still, so one of the things that he lost a lot from placing his last meeples was just the value from quick points. So 3 missed points over here, 3 missed points because of this tile. For that he could have taken over road. 3 points over here. He could do a crossroad tile, another crossroad tile. Like, there was, I think, like 12 points worth of stuff, or maybe like 10 points worth of stuff in total. And of course, it's also more convenient for blue to play against an opponent who has no meeples. Now blue can be a bit more sloppy, but in a good way, in the placement of their tiles. They don't need to worry about leaving quick points lying around, and this also adds a bit more to the value of blue's move. So this city will end up working out in all likelihood. It's actually now really hard to block. So as you said, the decision to not complete the monastery was not the easiest one, but it looks like it was the best. And now he will be completing his city and likely winning the game, it does seem to me. However, he probably could have achieved the same effect by just simply keeping the meeple and scoring quick points, because his city really won't be that much more than what he lost with the quick points. Now he has a curved tile, which has a variety of uses for it. Could possibly go on the right next to blue's monastery, try to create a blocking pressure against it. Yeah, he does a similar idea. There were some other ideas with this move. So nothing really much has happened. Blue was developing his monastery. Blue managed to restrict green city towards a 50-50. As you mentioned earlier, there is still one starting tile available over here. Daniel now continues his monastery and now places it one tile away from completion, so that would be nice. Also leaves a 4-point road up for grabs, which is probably the kind of variance that is good for blue, given that he's behind. There's also city cap on the top lying around. I won't be surprised if Mr. Lord here uses his last meeple again just to clean off the city cap on the top. I don't even think that would be a bad idea, given the large number of city caps remaining. He does something slightly different. He instead drops the Dorito tile to prevent that road monastery idea, because that the idea of field unification they were talking about was still possible with the road monastery over here and the square which is now blocked and a curve over here. So Daniel might choose to actually reinitiate this idea by going over here, starting an 8-point city, then maybe finishing it with a vanilla tile, then maybe getting a monastery, then getting a curve. But because it's such a far-fetched plan, he simply decided to take the 4 points, clean off the city cap, and just be done with it. Now he finishes the monastery as well, has 2 meeples to play with. Now we're equal on the scoreboard, and this is where it gets interesting. I wasn't quite counting the points. I would still have to favor green here, simply because of his city threats. It's extremely unlikely that Daniel will be able to successfully deal with both. I'm not sure what he's going to do here. Might start a new road, might simply bend it toward the city, or maybe drop his last farmer again towards a 6-point field at the top. Try to invade this 9-point field of blue, but this is not what he does. I'm not quite sure about the purpose of this move. Daniel now with a city cap, and he takes another field. Also leaves
yeah, I don't really feel like Terrycloth has to do much invading, because if my eyes don't deceive me, then he was pressure on the word was. He was ahead like plus 4 points before Daniel mapled the 6-point field, which is now a 9-point field with the extra city. But because Terrycloth also had the threats of completing both of his cities on the left, then I think that is more than enough of justification on not using his final meeple on field invasions.
It seems to be the case. However, now he finds himself behind as Daniel not only scores the extra 4 points for his field, which, as you said, is now worth 9 points, but he also draws the last remaining starting tile for the square, meaning that Lord City for 5 points will not be completed. Now, Green really needs to complete his other city to be back ahead again, and if he doesn't, this could really get dicey. And he finally gets the last straight line, and this will be a pivotal decision. Do you complete your road and try to make a temporary point sacrifice just to get some meeples to play with? No, says Lord. Meepling a 5-point road, hoping to complete it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 crossroad still remaining. Also a road monastery or a horse tile still available, so 3 road and tile in total. In the meantime, Daniel adds 2 points to his city at the top, and also looking to get a Dorito or triple city tile, trying to eat up these points as well. Daniel gets a crossroads and blocks Lord City. Is it completely blocked? Or only partially?
Yes, it is.
So we're out of daggers completely. Is that the case?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, I don't see all of them. What's up with me? So there's one at the bottom. There's one over here. And oh yeah, and there's one over here. So it looks like placing all these last meeples will come to bite Mr. Terry here. As this is trapped. I said that this was extremely unlikely, but it happened nevertheless. He was, however, able to score 3 extra points for his field by simply completing a meeple-less little city over here. But Daniel now draws another road end tile, which also happens to be the road monastery, which is just fantastic for him. He gets to choose between scoring 3 points over here or simply going for an 8-point monastery with his last meeple. He could simply also spend a few seconds rejoicing in the fact that this was one of the road end tiles that Lord needed, and now only 1 tile can even give a meeple back for Mr. Lord Terrycloth, and that is the last horse tile, the triple city with a road.
Wiseman's also pointing out in the chat that Terrycloth could have placed his road triangle on the right side of his city while it was still completable, due to the fact that there was still both of the dividers remaining in the deck. So it would have only taken away, I think, one city cap from the potential pool of tiles which Lord could have used to complete, and thus he would have been able to prevent this potential full block of the city.
That's a great point, and this would have worked also because he happened to draw the splitter tile later on. And 75% and also like I think that was really the move to win, as he now desperately trying to block Daniel's city over here. Daniel does opt for the 8-point monastery. I believe there might be still a curve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there's still one remaining, if I'm not mistaken, that fits over here that could even give him a meeple back. But at least Lord gets the triple city tile that gets him a road meeple back and also denies Daniel the development of his longer city. But Daniel dropped a city cap in his uppermost field. He'll be able to score 3 extra points by completing the city, even though he doesn't have any meeples. Will this be enough to outrun whichever points Lord is going to score with his last meeple on his last move?
I don't actually know what the final tile is. I'm wondering if it is actually worth it to do a very nifty move and try and cover up the potential 5-point ruin on the right side. But now that I think about it, it is not a good move because it does not end up in like better net points than just simply getting one more city on the field.
Yeah, if the ruin were like 10 points or something, that would definitely be something worth thinking about. But he just took clean 3 points at the top. He won't be scoring anymore unless there's something that fits here, which I don't think there is. So a Dorito is the tile that Terrycloth draws. He will be scoring this 5-point ruin after exhausting all the other options. So at least he wins the final coin flip. And I believe it's just a simple curve that is the last tile. So Daniel will not be able to score more. Of course, he will not be wanting to complete his monastery, as this would be taking away points from him. Currently, this city is being scored for twice by the top farmer and by the bottom farmer. So we definitely don't want to be unifying these fields. If we are blue, what's up with that?
Maybe Lord has miscalculated the tiles. Like maybe he thought he still had one turn. Because like I sometimes do these mistakes where like I know there's one tile remaining, but I fail to understand that that one tile is for my opponent and not for me.
Yeah, and also like Lord is saying in the chat, I thought there was a piece left. Yeah, so it explains that move. I mean, he thought that maybe there was a curve and he could connect, but he couldn't because that was literally the last piece in the game. And I don't know, I felt like they did a pretty good job of trying to update the number of pieces remaining. Because it said 0 tiles remaining, and also because now like you see you have these separate indicators because you have one next to your opponent's name showing how many tiles they have, and you have a separate indicator showing how many tiles there are actually in the deck. But this would not have mattered, as +10 is the score that allows Daniel to win this, and it would have been only +8. So it does seem that, as spectacular as placing your last meeple was, Mr. Lord here lost so many points on not being able to capitalize the quick points that it ended costing him the game, ultimately, in a position which looked really good for green. Like, blue had no business making the comeback, but suddenly 9-point field here, 12-point field here, and blue just ran away with this. So certainly spectacular and gritty performance for Daniel. Let's see if the British player has something to respond with in the second game after the 2-minute break that they agreed on. So let me just update the score. So Daniel Ayala wins this one. Maybe this gives us some time to have a look at the bracket before, because there was a pretty interesting history with these players. Wait. Qualifications. There's so many of those qualifications. So yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Qualification 3 was meant for international competition winners. So, oh wait, that's not Qualification 3. What am I looking at? Yeah, this is for tomorrow. Sorry about this. This is still Qualification 1, which is for winners of second and third place finishers of national online championships. Wait, I'm, you know what? I'm getting lost in these qualification groups so easily. Let me just, okay. Qualification, Q1. This is Q1, Q1 4? Nope. Maybe Q1 2. Yeah, Q1 2. Right. So, Mr. Lord here had a really good run, winning the Polish player Prici 2-1, then winning the German player with screen name Miami 2-0. They only lost 2-0 against the Israeli player with a screen name Izlun. That's Ilya Slonimsky, who was one of the World Championship participants in person in Germany this year. This sent Lord Terrycloth to the losers bracket, to the consolidated finals, and now they're there battling it out with Daniel, who had a much more dicey run, as he was sent to the losers bracket straight away after losing to Miami of Germany. Then he managed to defeat the same pole as Lord Terrycloth, then 2-1 against Vladimir from Chile. Then in the rematch against the German, Daniel managed to prevail, and now they're there. So Daniel maybe was going to be a bit more motivated to see this through, given how much more thornful their journey was. I'm not sure if that's a word, but I guess now it is. And the second game has started. And it's still tied. So what are we having here? So the first points are going to Daniel. If I'm not mistaken, it should be Green who is starting here, as Daniel started last game, and he now gets 3 points as well. An early farmer, again from Mr. Lord, looks justified, but what a tile for Daniel that actually does inflict triple damage, or double damage rather, at least for now, making it much harder for Green City to be completed, and also restricting Green's field quite a way, both because, you know, this city is harder to complete, so you won't be getting extra 3 points for the city anytime soon, and also because once the square is not filled, there's a bit of a barrier for developing the fields over here. And look at this, Daniel is actually continuing to play against this field, so it's very an interesting move. So he adds 1 point to Green's monastery here, but in such a way that makes it so much harder to develop the field, also eliminating good monastery spots. It's not impossible, but it's going to take quite a while. And also, this is an interesting move because, so let's say if he goes over here and tries to develop his monastery, then this square will be vulnerable and Green could lose his city. But if he takes a dagger tile to continue his city, then this square is vulnerable from the left side and he could lose his monastery. So it actually will be very difficult for Green here to continue both his monastery and his city safely, which is why it does not happen just yet, as Daniel is threatening an 8-point city. Lord doesn't do much about it, simply starts a new 5-point monastery, which could serve him well. He also has a road over here, still 1 meeple to work with, unlike last game. And Daniel does not draw a city cap, cannot complete the city just yet, so instead he connects to Green's road, but this also adds 1 point to the monastery of Green, And Lord immediately gets a crossroads, separates, and now as a result, this green monastery is better built up, and it's also controlling a teeny tiny road of Daniel Ayala. So what do you think of this sequence, Otto? Would you have invaded the road, or would you have done something else as Daniel?
I don't think invading the road would have been in my cards, because like just surrounding your opponent's monastery in such a great way that it only needs the 3 tiles on like the exact one side, which is usually pretty easy to do. It doesn't. I mean, from my experience, it really brings more pain than like actual good for your game. And like it's a 4-point road. It's not that big of a deal. But however, there were not all that many spots to really use the curve to. Like, I don't know, starting a loop on the left is not really all that great, because like it's only 2 points. Daniel didn't like have a ton of meeples in hand, and he would possibly have to wait to get his 1 point city finished before he would ever get a great chance to actually finish the road. However, I am not entirely convinced of the positioning of Terry's second monastery. I think it would have been rather, well, eventful to say at least, but also maybe even just better to stack the monastery on top of the next to the other one, simply because the 8-point city was about to be completed, and that could potentially allow a way for Terry to expand his field to the southern side, so that he would not be getting trapped to just a 3-point field. Or then if he doesn't get to the southern side, which really only happens if the 8-point city of Daniel is not finished, then I mean that's also somewhat of a decent outcome, I guess, because then that means that Daniel will be left with 3-point city, whereas Lord Terrycloth will have more or less 2 8-point monasteries plus 13. Well, a winning battle, in my opinion, there. And it would also bring extra green squares for the lonely 3-point field of Lord. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. It seems to have worked really, really well for Lord, as he has now gotten his 9-point monastery finished and doesn't have to actually trouble his mind any further with the 8-point city either. So yeah, what do I know?
I'm not sure
Maybe
about
I'm just
that actually.
wrong.
I mean, no, I really like Otto, your idea about stacking the monasteries, but I think the reason why Mr. Lure didn't do it, I'm pretty sure he didn't like that last situation of having 2 meeples trapped versus this 1 meeple trapped of blue. But in reality, like when you have so many points per meeple invested, so that would be like, as you said, 16 points for the monasteries versus 3 points for the city. So that's a plus 13 mini. That's not a mini battle, but it's still like a 13-point investment for net 1 meeple. That certainly is good enough in my book. It's just a type of position which many players don't like to play, but ended up working fine for Lord, although fine is not like, it's a bit of a strong word, as Daniel is ahead on the scoreboard, has the better field at the bottom, which Lord is now forced to attack. Now his meeple at the top is kind of stranded, as he does not have these extra green squares yet. At the very least, Daniel drops another meeple on the farm, so this field will now be the property of blue again, and blue just has a very, very good position, because green has some threats, but green's threats are more like long distance and not that high probability. Daniel can still obstruct both the city and the monastery. Now, Finally, green does get his extra green squares and a chance to complete the monastery, so this monastery is now worth 7 points. Blue, however, with his threats on the zone, whilst we were talking, blue managed to build a super nice 7-point city at the bottom, and if he gets just one more Dorito, then suddenly the city becomes dangerous. So the only consolation for British fans here is the fact that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's 3. Why did I say 3? That's 7 out of 8 tiles that are very good for continuing the city like this have gone out. So blue is still quite a long time away from creating a meaningful threat of completing the city, but it's not impossible. A combination of Doritos and city caps is enough for a potential completion of the city, and it seems to me that Lord will be forced to chase it around. Daniel now with a splitter tile.
May I interrupt for a moment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I really think that there was a lot of lost potential with the triple city of Daniel, with the triple city with the road, because now that he's in my eyes in a really good situation, in a winning situation here actually, I think it would have been really devastating move if he had just gone like 2 tiles left and one tile up from the monastery of Terry, block the monastery, and more likely just destroy the city of Terrycloth, because there was still one splitter remaining, yes, but Lord would have to get both the splitter and the dagger in order to complete the city, and if he draws either one of those, I mean, he's not guaranteed to have the opportunity to place the other one. And because Lord only had one meeple, he's been playing with almost no meeples for the entirety of the game again. It would have been such a devastating move to just keep Lord out of meeples, because now he can actually fight.
Exactly, yeah, I look at this. So, just as you were talking, this has been prophetic, as Green was able to complete his monastery, which of course would not have been the case. And also just want to add one more thing to your suggestion of this move over here. This would have also been very damaging for the field prospect as well. So there would be basically like 3 meeples thwarted at once. But I think the reason why Daniel didn't do it, first of all, he just simply might have not seen this, simply tunneling on this other spot. And maybe he perceived himself to be so far ahead that, in his view, his only losing scenario would be Green drawing a splitter tile and overrunning this city in the center. But I don't think it's quite his only losing scenario. So what I see now is that at least Blue managed to block Green City over here. That's very annoying for Green. But, you know, had Green been a bit luckier with the city cap over here a bit earlier, then 8 points could have gone to Green's scoreboard, an extra meeple back, an extra 3 points for the field, some more green squares for development. None of that is going to happen, but all of this, of course, could have been prevented. But still, Daniel in a great position now, continue his city at the bottom, starting a new one, manage to successfully complete this block. He will now be thinking whether to add the Dorito tile to his city, maybe threatening an unlikely but not impossible or impossible completion of the city. Yeah, it looks like the completion of the city at the bottom will be extremely difficult, so he might maybe just go over here at the top, trying to kill off this road. That's doable. He might just go over here, trying to block the shared city just in case. I'm not really sure what other ideas he has. He does add the point to his city. It is extremely unlikely that it will be completed. It will need just because we've run out of field Doritos, it will need a bit of an unusual combo. Something like a city cap, triple city, and then another city cap. And, of course, Mr. Lord will be able to attack.
But he can also use just a road triangle and a dagger.
Oh, and a dagger, right. There's still 2 of those remaining. So a dagger like this, which Lord is waiting for over here. A road Dorito and a dagger. Yeah, that's actually a real nice combo. This could really work. So now one of the road Doritos is drawn by green instead, and green of course starts a new city trying to threaten 8 points. He needs to get those points as despite his scoreboard lead, the field lead of blue is more significant. But if he's successful, then green will actually be ahead. And so the move that Daniel is thinking about is probably going over here with a curve, or with it here a curve like this. It's just a question of where it's just a question of orientation of the curve, the road side up or the road side down. The road side up is the choice. I presume he must have countered the city cap. Now, an interesting decision for Mr. Lord here. He just adds a point to his city and basically indicates that he's not planning to complete it, as it is blockable in 1 move. Well, actually, it's still possible to technically complete it with a dagger, city cap, and another city cap. It is tricky to do so, but we're going to see in a second if Lord even attempts it. So a potential move, yeah, and he doesn't. He just simply wants to drop a city cap in his field, and I believe, of course, threatened to get 7 points. He's now also thinking whether to meeple it. I think not. So it's a lesson learned from last game. We don't spend our last meeple without a reason. Daniel will now probably block the city cap and creates a blocking platform against his city. Also, an interesting thing about this move, Daniel just simply expand his bottom field a little bit. Mr. Lord with a crossroad tile looking to score 2 points somewhere, or perhaps do something else. Oh, he does do something.
Seems to be about 9 points behind before this road, so he still has some fighting chance, especially regarding his field at the top. If he gets to complete the cities and actually benefit the points from it, which he doesn't because he used his final meeple again, which seems to be a reoccurring theme. So that's a bit unfortunate, but considering that there are there even all that many road ends? 4, 5, 6, 7. There was like 2 road ends. It's not that much, honestly.
Yeah, and also there's like one other thing about this. I mean, with this move, he was adding a city into Blue's field. Of course, it's likely to be added to Blue's field a bit later anyway, but at least Blue would have need to spend a move on it. And yeah, as Lord, I think we may have been a bit premature as Daniel gets another monastery. He gets the other road end, which would have benefited Mr. Lord, but Daniel is not able to block. And Lord Terrycloth will be finishing a 12-point city and adding 3 points to the field and getting a meeple back and taking quite the lead on the scoreboard. Daniel has the monasteries on the field. Lord has the scoreboard. Daniel has a scoring tile. 2 ways to add 2 points. Either we get 2 monastery points or we get 2 points over here. I don't really see much else. So now this is getting kind of interesting. Mr. Lord with a city cap. Do we just add 1 point to the left, or do we drop the city cap in our field hoping to score some more? Is there a way of doing this and also setting up a 4-point road maybe? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's still 1 curve remaining. Hi Elias. Hi Raphael. Cap. Is there a city cap, Otto?
I think there's 1 still after this.
Right.
I think
it seems to be the regular vanilla, yeah.
Yes. with 2 tiles. If we get both the vanilla and the road,
Isn't just one of them enough?
I honestly, I don't think it actually is. I'm not sure. I haven't been
actually,
counting the
it shouldn't matter because if we get quick points in our penultimate move, then we get a meeple back, and so with our last meeple, we're scoring 3 or 4 points anyway, so we don't have to meeple like that exact feature. And I guess this is what he's counting on. Daniel does not get a good blocking tile. I guess he can just take the loop simply so that Mr. Lord can't take the loop, but a city cap will be available for Lord here.
Yeah, but the loop is now inconsequential now if there was only one curvy tile. Though I might stand corrected. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There might still be actually a curvy tile remaining. I might be just hallucinating myself. So yeah, maybe it is actually worth it to just complete the loop instead of adding 1 point. No regular curves. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Should be
5.
one,
No. Rogue triangles.
0. Wait. Yeah, so he just doesn't even bother. And Lord does get his 7 points that he won. This was not preventable. So 4 points for the city, 3 for the field, and he'll still have him able to score. Daniel will get 2 more points, not 1. He needs to realize this, that instead of adding a point over here, there's a 2-point move available over here, adding 1 for each monastery. Lord will be getting 3 points, I guess, for the field and the right. That's about the best that he can do. Now, the moment of truth. Will that be enough? I mean, I know that some of our viewers already know. I don't. So the big rune is being scored for Daniel. The shared rune is being scored for both. The 2 monasteries and the field. These are the heavy features for Daniel, but Lord has the 6-point road on the right. So, also, somehow, how did Green develop this field so much? He's gonna have 15 field points.
I don't know. That's what that is exactly what I am trying to contemplate myself. Like, it was 3 points with almost zero room for expansion, and it just somehow became a 12-point field with just city caps, which Terrycloth added to his field at the time when he had no meeples, or maybe because he had no meeples, which is quite funny.
Exactly, yeah, so this one was actually completed without a meeple, but it gave the 3 extra points and then green squares, and this farmer managed to just survive. Yeah, this is really interesting as the Brit manages to mount a comeback, so both players trading blows. In the first, the Mexican manages to come back from a position really good for the green, and in the second game, the Brit responds, so the decider remains. Whoever wins the next one will be moving on to the main stage.
The interesting part here is actually that after the final road triangle that Daniel had, the tile deck had 2 extenders and the city cap. So Terry didn't actually even have to get the city cap first, because he can just meeple a city with the extender and hope to get the city cap, and he still wins. Because he only scored 3 points with his final meeple, and like an extender even without a shield is worth 2 points, and he won by 2 points. So there's that fun fact.
There was actually was there like another interesting winning route of trying to? Yeah, there was another winning route. I think if he were to get both extenders, he would be able to connect to that ruin in the center.
Also true. Also true.
Yeah, so I wonder if either players were thinking about that possibility as well.
And you know what? He actually could have done that with the city cap even, maybe. Or because now that's 7 plus 3, because there.
Oh yeah, that was actually better. That was 11
6, 7,
points
8,
instead of 10.
Yeah, potentially 11. It would have been at least 10. So at least the same that he now got.
Well, I guess that would not have been better per se, because, I mean, he did guarantee himself the win after the city cap, because all he needed to score is just like some 2-3 points at the very, very end, and that's it. But if his city cap were to be blocked, for example, then he could have used the city cap to actually attack the ruin. So it wasn't like super, super lucky for Green in the end, because Green had these other options. Still, interesting how the players trade blows here. And the decider has started. No extended breaks before this one. Hi P-Chan, also rooting for Mexico. So we have quite a lot of Mexican fans today. Do let us know if the Brit is also getting any support. So, interesting situation here already. Some tension in the square and city being developed for Lord Terrycloth on the right. 3-point road for Daniel, potentially 6-point loop. Mr. Lord trying to attack the triple city, but it is being denied with a nifty move from Daniel. So now, ooh, I wonder what the chances are. I keep forgetting this all the time. So we have an interesting situation. So there are 2 splitters that are left for blue to try and separate this 14-point city against this 4-point city, or there's still 2 Doritos, only 2 Doritos with a field for Lord to connect. So this is very close to a coin flip, actually. But if anybody in the chat has the probabilities for what's more likely to happen and by how much, either blue draws the splitter or green draws the triangle before this happens. Also, another interesting thing about green is that green actually needs a Dorito tile over here as well to complete his rhombus city on the right, because it's being pressured by blue. But blue doesn't quite get the tile to attack it yet. Instead, blue just takes 2 points, and Lord gets the other kind of Dorito. So we won't be seeing this Sophie's Choice dilemma, whether to place the Dorito over here. He just gets the tile which only fits there. So the same outcome, but psychologically way, way easier on the Brit, as he completes the first city on the game for an 8-point scoreboard lead. Now starting an interesting new road, which is facing right into Daniel's city, setting up a monastery spot for the future. Daniel decides to continue his city, and instead of taking the 4 quick points over here, this is interesting, Lord immediately connect. Daniel drops an early farmer, now develops the farm. There's actually some merit to this, because this city over here will eventually be completed, either by the splitter by blue or by the Dorito tile by Lord. This will remain over here, sometimes incomplete, but this is very, very rare. Daniel starts a new city on the right, drops his last meeple, taking a play from the Brits playbook. And this gives free reign for the play with the green meeples to score. 4 points on the right for road. Daniel gets out of harm's way. And very interesting that he doesn't finish this road at the bottom on the left. Instead, he finishes this 3-point road on the right, kind of sacrificing 1 point, maybe being a bit afraid for a block here, but it will cost him already now, because he would have been able to have 2 meeples back, now has only 1 meeple back, but still a productive move for the Mexican, restricting Lord City and possibly going to continue early, to continue more. Now he doesn't have any place to score with the quadruple crossroads. He drops it at the bottom as green completes a nice loop. Well, doesn't quite complete yet, but he sets up a nice 8-point loop, but at the same time expands blue's field and also sets up a Monastery coin flip, which could benefit either party. Now a great tile for Lord. Both players trade cities. Daniel finishes the 4-point city on the right, expands his field. Green finishes the city at the bottom, starts a new road. Daniel with a splitter tile. Will he add something to his field perhaps? We shall find out in a second. Hi Chris, good to know that we have some UK fans too, albeit still outnumbered. And Mexico will need support in this one as Lord has the scoreboard lead and a slight advantage in this position. Thank you, Wisemates, for confirming. So roughly, roughly 48% of the time against 45, depending on whose moves it is. And roughly 6% of the time, at least as of a few moves ago, nobody draws their suitable tile. So they both draw each other's tiles, and that's a possibility as well. So in all likelihood, the city will be completed, like over 90% chance of the city being completed. And virtually a coin flip about who gets there first. Either Daniel with a splitter, which would put him back into the game and then some, or Lord with a Dorito tile. Daniel's still thinking with this splitter tile. Otto, can you help him out a little bit?
I don't see all that many options with this tile. Like, I think I would almost in a heartbeat just place it above my monastery and just meeple the leftmost city cap. I'm not sure why he's thinking so much. Because like it's a perfectly great tile to expand his field, and at the same time try and surround his monastery. Like at some point get that meeple back. But he has other ideas, though I don't like his ideas.
Yeah, so the idea, I guess, is to keep the field small. There's some merit to that, because it's like, you want to keep the field small if you anticipate a future meeple disadvantage, which he does have, but this city placement at the bottom proved to be surprisingly vulnerable, as actually Lord, with his new road, was threatening a complete block by getting a Dorito tile, and blocking this square, tying the city to this, a technique that occurs quite often. Now Lord gets a different tile. Instead, he gets a 7-point monastery, so a different type of advantage. Now a great tile for Lord, as Daniel only adds 1 point to his road and makes it a bit safer. Lord finishes his 4-point road and endangers Daniel's road a little bit, but Daniel gets the splitter tile. 14 points for Daniel's city, only 4 points for Lord's city. Meeples get back into the hand. Fields are being expanded. Now we have a 9-point field at the bottom, potentially up for grabs. And Lord Terrycloth does not get a tile that is good for him. Ideally, he would want some sort of city plus field tile.
But this is good for him. He can block the road meeple of Daniel.
Oh yeah, that's great. I guess I wonder what he's thinking. Maybe he's thinking about the orientation of the tile, or he's just recounting the daggers. But there are no daggers that fit into the square. Yes, look at these. All of them are out. So this road meeple will not be seeing the light of day, which brings us earlier to this move that Daniel made. Daniel could have freed up this meeple, but because of the slight pressure of the right, Daniel, it seems to me, that misevaluated which meeple was actually dangerous and completed first the safer road, and the more dangerous road was left unattended, which is resulting in a loss of a meeple for Daniel. Still, not a bad position. A nice farmer, nice monasteries. Green just gave up on his attempts on trying to complete the city. It's effectively turning it into a ruin, adding 2 points. He'll add a couple more, maybe bringing it up to 9 points in total in the future, because a lot of big tiles have already gone out. Daniel now with a choice whether to go over here with the curve and finish the monastery, or first go over here and meeple the 9-point field. The 9-point field looks really good. He decided he needs the meeples first. So the points for the road and the monasteries are added to the scoreboard. That's a virtual wash, but now Lord will be able to be the first and the last, probably on the bottommost field. It is virtually impenetrable, and I think there's a strong move that he can make. Instead of meepling it like this, directly attaching the tile for the city, although that's also not bad, he could place it one tile lower than this, also setting up a potential vertical splitter, trying to get even more points for the field. So between these two placements, Otto, do you agree with the Brit here, or would you have preferred going one square lower?
I think being more greedy would be good here. I mean, like, yeah, sure, now he gets one extra point immediately, but like you said, if he just goes one tile lower, he has the two dividers, which can potentially give him 8 more points in the future. And if he's so keen on getting that city cap on his city, then because it is seemingly going to be a ruin, then he can still get that one extra point if he gets an extender or a triple city with a field like later on. So that city cap is still likely going to benefit either his ruin or his field. Just depends on which tiles Lord gets eventually in the future.
Well, it turns out that one of the splitters is being drawn by Daniel and not the Lord, so perhaps we have a hint of prescience from the British player, which is sometimes a necessary part of Carcassonne in tricky situations, and Daniel manages to support his main farmer at the top and also drop some nasty city caps. Especially this one on the left is quite the threat, as there's still a splitter and a regular vanilla city cap that fits into the square that is available for blue. That could fit into that square, and then of course this will give 3 points for this farmer, 3 points for that farmer, and then also some extra points for the city, of course, for a total of 10, which is why an interesting move from Green. Green chooses to try and unify both fields straight away or as early as possible, anticipating this move over here, trying to get the Dorito tile that would add him a monastery point, and that would unify these two farmers, basically negating the extra point that the rightmost farmer is scoring. In the meantime, Daniel manages to get a tile that sort of kind of saves his monastery. Not sure if that will be important with one vanilla city cap remaining, because he already needs a vanilla city cap over here on the right. Mr. Lord here gets a tile which probably allows him to clean off the city cap on the right, which is what I would have done, but he instead chooses the more high variance approach, trying to develop his field on the left. I wonder if you need to be doing that with a scoreboard lead like this, because this results in immediate quick points for Daniel, and Daniel gets the city cap as well, and I believe he will not be going over here. Instead, he'll just be scoring these juicy quick points. No vanilla city caps remaining. He won't be getting his back in the monastery, but I don't even think he has to Lord with the last monastery, so at least he's safe in knowing that this meeple is not seeing the light of day, as the monastery was the last tile that fits in this square, so that's one threat dodged. But after all these city caps have been scored for, Blue's farming position looks fantastic.
It really does, and there's only 2 tiles which can help Lord in directly unifying these fields. Of course, there is another alternative path at the top, well, not anymore, when the fields become even increasingly more dangerous. We're now with only one field triangle left to unify them, and more 4-point cities awaiting to get grabbed. So I wonder. No. I was thinking like maybe in some world, maybe we forego these 2 points with the monastery and just try to set up another unification platform at the top, but I don't think it's worth it, because we really just want to maximize the value on that triangle in this situation where we need, like, I'm not sure if we need every tile, but we can definitely take advantage of many tiles that still remain in the deck. And we do seemingly need to use every tile as efficiently as possible, because the situation looks not all that great for Lord, at least just based on the board. I'm not actually sure of the exact points. Maybe it would be time to do some calculating.
Probably not the worst idea. Okay, so Lord has 5 points for the scoreboard, together with his monastery, that's 8. This cancels out this monastery, so they're equal after this. 7 points for this monastery are almost equal to 8 points of Lord City, so Lord is up +1. +3 for this city, that's +4, negated by this 4-point row, that's completely equal. 2-point city here, 2-point city here, everything is completely equal. The only thing that matters is the fields. 9 points here, 6 points here, 12 points here, 9 points here. So Lord is losing 6 points, but he can very easily make up for these 6 points simply with the Dorito tile. This would give him a point for the city, a point for the monastery, 6 points because these will be unified together, although this city cap is ouchie from the Brits' perspective.
But the city cap isn't actually that bad, because we still have essentially the same prospects. We still are hoping for that one triangle, and we can easily just like equal out, if that's a word, these points that Daniel just got by getting a city cap of our own, finishing the city on the left, dropping a farmer like this, and now I think if we get the triangle, we are sitting quite pretty, actually.
Yeah, so Daniel either just needs to brace for impact and hope that he gets the triangle, or he needs to come up with a plan how he can win despite the triangle. So maybe going over here and attacking the field is not the worst idea, and maybe finding some sort of field invasion. There's also a crazier idea of going over here and trying to invade the green's field at the bottom through a triangle, just basically throwing the entire game at the mercy of the triangle distributors. So we're going to see what he decides here. All right, Wise Mace, thanks for confirming that this Dorito tile would also have a shield on it. So this is an extra point for green.
A wonderful thing that is also working for Lord is that the only remaining city cap is the city crossroad, so it will not benefit Daniel actually in any way. He cannot score points with it from anywhere, whereas Lord can just take 7 points on the left.
So this actually makes me thinking maybe we can drop a farmer here and try to get that city cap that you just mentioned and use it as a field invasion tile if we just can't use it anywhere anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Michael. It does seem that the UK could use some support right now, but so is Mexico. I mean, this game's getting super close. 33 seconds on the clock for Daniel. Needs to try and count, well, try to figure out what are the remaining tiles and solve this pre-endgame, or endgame rather. 15 seconds, gotta make a move here. Okay, he decides to go for the ultimate coin flip. The ultimate coin flip. It's like either you get Dorito or I get a Dorito. If you get a Dorito, you get a lot of points. If I get a Dorito, I get a lot of points. And there is nothing you can possibly do to stop this. So Lord decides to get his own counter invasion. Daniel gets the tile with which he would have connected the field from the left. But I guess he didn't want to do that because this, of course, would give a chance for green to reconnect. I believe there may be some straight lines remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 straight lines remaining even. So, Daniel...
I think Lord is sitting pretty right at the moment, because now he is actually forced to get at least one of the 2 remaining straight lines or the triangle. And they all are worth a lot of points.
Well, a bit of a point donation now from Daniel, as Mr. Lord will be getting an extra 2 points for his city instead of 1. Daniel gets the first straight line, and no matter what, the players will be exchanging scores. So Lord gets +9, but Daniel only gets +7 because he connects to the field, but also adds points in the process to Mr. Lord. So the points are being counted. I'm not quite sure who has it, as the monasteries will be added to Daniel's scoreboard right now. Daniel will have more field points, but not by much. 12 points for the main field on the left. 12 points for the shared field at the bottom. 12 points for the shared field on the right. 6 on the left. And it is the Brits who will prevail by like 4 points or something.
That must feel good for Lord, coming back from 1-0 deficit.
It must, yeah. So with it's today's comeback day, really. So we see 3 comebacks, and sadly we'll be saying goodbye to Daniel, who showed a spectacular, gritty performance in this tournament. His fate was hanging by a thread so many times, just didn't quite manage to wiggle out of this one. Even though he did manage to draw the Dorito tile, this wasn't just quite enough because of the couple of extra city points in the process, and Lord Terrycloth will be moving on. So the new British player does not stop surprising, although this maybe shouldn't be a surprise anymore. We just have a new menace in town, and we'll be looking forward to how they do in the actual Champions League. So the players are saying polite things to each other in the chat. It was a high-level game indeed from both sides, but we won't have too much time to talk about it more, as we have one more match coming up, one which may be a bit closer to your heart, Otto. 71 Knives of Belgium versus Megot Noskill of Australia.
Already rushing into that myself.
So you've played against both these players in this tournament with not the outcome that you were hoping for. I mean, we saw actually both of these matches on stream, partially at least. Now that you've played both of these players, who do you think has the better chance between 71 Knives and Megot?
Okay, I'm not... Obviously, we're not betting, but if I were to bet, I would be placing my money on Knives, simply because I think he has like a more stable like playing style. He takes like less risks than Megot, or perhaps the play style of Megot is he's not like maybe taking risks per se, but his actions are such that they end up being risks because he actually quite often, even though this might sound a bit harsh, but quite often does make moves which either benefit the other side more or less, or they actually leave some potential scoring opportunities when that is not necessary to leave them. Whereas Knives is like, it's just difficult to play against Knives, especially when he's in the lead, because he plays, well, let's say, almost at all times he plays super safe. I'm saying almost because for those of you who saw the match between me and Knives, he did make some moves which were a bit questionable, and they were trying to actually aid me on my way to a comeback, but like even those were not enough. So he played safe enough.
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't seen the stream, just wanted to refer you, like, in that match, 71 Lives got an early lead due to a big city, and then when he could have, like, taken a safe, relatively safe win without the field, he started attacking the field and then kind of playing in a way which was high scored, and, like, he made high equity moves. It's just that with the right tiles, this gave a room for a very negative scenario for 71 Knives, and thus a lower winning percentage. He was still like 80-85% likely to win, but he ended up just playing a bit more risky, actually, than you normally would. So this was very uncharacteristic of him. And he, later, when joining the stream, he admitted to even being nervous a bit after getting that lead, which, again, is super uncharacteristic of him because, like, emotionally, 71 Knives is one of the calmest players there is, period. So I think in one of our streams, Craft Giraffe said is, like, when 71 Knives finishes a quick 18-point city against you, it's like the damaging part is not the 18-point cities, that he does that with a straight face. So we'll see if we're going to see a straight face here. Looks so far that time management-wise, he's playing really, really well. He is using a lot of the increment. He's not making moves instantly. And the position is roughly equal. Lots of things could happen here. Probably, well, actually, why did I say that? No, it's a massive advantage for Megot, Noskill. Okay, so here's what's happening now. 26 tiles remaining, 2 meeples per side, right? This square is blocked, so yellow guy, that's the Belgian, usually very consistent with his colors, is being outscored by the blocked 9-point city of Megot, which could even develop. Yellow has monasteries over here, but the red monasteries over here are scoring more points, and red already has a 9-point farm, which is not that easy to invade. Well, maybe through here. Actually, if Mr. Knives wants to do that, he could go here right now, although I probably would have preferred to go here first to attack the city at the top. Let's see what he chooses. Yellow also has an incomplete city over here for 2 points, and there's still one starting tile that fits into this square, so this could be quite significant for the fate of the game. We're going to wait and see who draws that tile. There's also a 5-point road lying around, so somebody could draw the last cow tile, or the last horse tile, rather, and go over there. Actually, Megot, let's see if he finds this. I mean, if he wants, he can go over here and meeple this road like this, hoping for one of the 3 Doritos with the road and getting a 6-point road, and of course, most importantly, eliminating this scoring opportunity from his opponent. That's a totally legit move. Another approach is to use the fact that there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 curves remaining, and go over here and meeple a road which goes through his monastery indirectly, but he ends up doing something similar. He takes 2 points for the road. He pre-builds the road that goes through the monastery a bit more, so he'd be able to get a curve and then meeple the new 5-point monastery straight up, and he makes this square of 71 Knives a bit more vulnerable. As we can see, the Belgian with an aggressive scoring approach, trying to just get away with a 4-point road. Megot with an interesting choice, has a city cap, could finish his city at the top, or could perhaps do something else, maybe some sort of farming move here at the top. Not sure what is best here. So, Otto, what are your recommendations for the play with the red meeples, both for this move and for this game strategically?
Well, seeing that Megot is now, I believe, in a 21-point lead, and he can get his monastery back, he has very little to worry about, actually, because Knives only has 2 meeples. Well, let's, for the sake of like being generous, let's count 3 meeples for Knives. When he gets a meeple back from the bottom potential 4-point road. Knives is going to have to use 1 meeple to probably attack the 9-point field in the middle, if that is possible. He might have to somehow create a way to attack the 9-point ruin, maybe, if in an emergency. And he's also going to probably, like most likely, have to fight for the other 9-point field in the left. And then he's left with no meeples. And we haven't even touched the topic of where Megot is going to use his meeples, which seem more or less endless, actually, because he doesn't have to fight for majority. He all Megot has to do here is fight for the right to keep his 9-pointer meeples as 9-pointers. Like, he can do almost anything he wants with very little risk. Like, if he just is the first on the field in the northwestern corner, I think it's already like super difficult for Knives to even try to win this game.
Yeah, so you mentioned this emergency opportunity of attacking the city on the right, and especially now that Megot got a curve that was used by him to meeple this new 5-point road and finish his monastery and further his scoreboard lead. I now start thinking maybe the emergency was 2 moves ago. With this tile that Yellow placed here to score 2 points, maybe an idea of going over here, starting a new city, hoping for a sequence of a cow tile and another Dorito was actually better, because this would have equalized the 8-point ruin at the same time building up the monasteries in the process. So that was something to think about. In the meantime, Yellow is quite a while away before he can make use of his monastery meeples, and he will be forced to place a tile over here. But now Yellow actually gets a bit creative. So he's trying to build this big road over here like this, making his blocked 4-point meeple, putting it to good work, and maybe managing to get 6 extra points like this and denying points for Red potentially. Red now gets a curvy tile, and with this I think they have a very strong move which could just almost win them the game on the spot, really. So they have a wealth of options between going over here and blocking the square, or maybe starting a new field somewhere. But the best move that I can see that I like is going over here, dropping a 6-point farmer, indirectly completing their road, and most importantly, covering up their 9-point field in the middle, making it completely impossible to attack, or almost impossible to attack, because the main attacking spot is over here to the left. If you just cover it up like this, drop a farm over here, then you can get a straight line and then expand your field, and then you can get a road. It's just such a big threat. Well, let's see if he does this, but he does something different. I prefer the other approach a little bit more, just because this has the same idea, except that it is going to score fewer points. And now 71 Knives, sadly, I've been being, I think, really inefficient here by finishing his 4-point road with a shielded tile where he kind of needed it over here. Yeah, it's a sort of normal move, but I wonder if that was enough for a comeback chance. Megot now has a move which can give him a 5-point road. He's still thinking, maybe he's thinking about something else. Maybe he's thinking about finishing his road. This evil hamster spot in the center is nothing to worry about, because both road monasteries have gone out. So, as red here, Otto, do you just take the quick points, or do you do something else? Maybe finish your road, unify the 2 farmers, and get a massive stronghold on the main field?
I am absolutely just taking the 5 points for the road. Like there is no need, like entirely no need to finish the road and connect the fields, because if anything, I would say that Megot wants to, or wanted to keep the fields separate, just so that there is no possible scenario in which Knives overruns both fields with 3-2, even though that is so unlikely. But like, which brings me to the curve where that Megot used to meeple the 6-point field in the first place. Because if he just rotates that like 90 degrees to the right, then he can still finish his road even with just a regular straight road, which I think there was still one remaining, plus a curve, or then just a crossroad afterwards, and just like absolutely secure his field, which is I believe one of the things you suggested in the first place. But now when he doesn't take 5 points, which I don't agree with, because all he needs to do is to take points. He doesn't need to even really care about Knives attacking. He just needs to make sure that he doesn't lose the field. But
interesting that actually losing the field, as you said, it's now realistically, it's realistic. Okay, here's how we're gonna do it. First of all, Megot's gonna clean off the city cap. Then, as Knives, we're gonna get something like a straight line, of which I think there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, something similar to a straight line. I know, like a curve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there is a curve or something. Then we go over here. And then we get something over here, and we drop a farmer here, and a farmer here. And then, it's a bit unfortunate that we drew the monastery now, but if we were to draw the monastery later, we could place it over here, connecting 3 farmers from 3 different sides at the same time. So this was all still possible. And we can see that Mr. Knife decided to go the exact route that you're mentioning, is basically forgetting about the ruin, forgetting about everything, about the monasteries, just hoping to overrun the field with a 3 versus 2 majority. After the city cap has been cleaned off, I believe this still is unlikely to be enough, but maybe if Megot panics a little bit, if he maybe decides to keep fighting for this field and just like cooperates a little bit by maybe dropping a 0-point farmer somewhere, and then maybe we get a starting tile and we get a meeple back as yellow, then there could be some chances potentially. So even though these are chances, they probably don't exceed 10%. Maybe a bit more if red gets nervous or something like this. But still, it's better to play small ball when you have a lead and just try to avoid these panicky opportunities being created. Now Mr. Knife decides to connect the field. I'm not sure if he's going to meeple the monastery. I think if he wants to fight for the field, he cannot afford to meeple the monastery because he just needs the meeples for other things. He's thinking about it, and he chooses not to meeple. In this case, I do agree.
Mm-hmm.
So Megot now gets a city cap tile. And now let's see if he just finishes the city, which seems to be the logical things to do, but maybe he wants to drop a farmer somewhere. Maybe like on the right for a 50-50 chance to get the last curve, and we don't know who wins that coin flip.
Yeah, I think if he wants to be certain, or like more or less certain of his win, he's gonna drop another farmer. If he wants to play like a bit dangerous game, well, I'm not sure if I can even call it dangerous, because even if Carl overruns the field, I mean, it's still not going to be enough necessarily, which is just well, I mean, it's just the level we are at the moment. It's just the hole that Knives is in right now is so deep that it's very difficult to dig himself out of it, even with the help of angels and
even with the help
characters.
of his opponents.
Yes.
No, please don't do it, please don't do it, please don't do it. Oh, he does it. Oh, no. That's a miscount, sadly. I believe there are no curves remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, so this is a move that will finally answer the question of the winner of the game quite definitively. Of course, he's hoping for an invasion over here. But you know, like sometimes, I think I know what happened. Like when you count tiles, you very often forget to count the tile which you have in hand already.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was looking at the board, saying, "Okay, there are 8 curves. Yay, there's one more curve, but the one more curve was the one he just placed." Which is also why I prefer tile tracking instead of tile counting. All go watch my tile counting video from last year, unless you already have done so. But Mr. Knives here is fighting. There's actually still a chance for him to invade the field, and I was thinking about this farmer of red being some sort of insurance, but it really isn't, because we're running extremely short on road tiles that can be used to connect, because like the starting tile of course will be used by 71 Knives to free up his city. The curves have been drawn, the straight lines have been drawn, the crossroads have been drawn, and the daggers have been not drawn, but they could be drawn by 71 Knives.
There's also a starting tile left.
Well, yeah, but we assume that yellow's gonna draw it to finish his city.
No. But I mean, the point was just that the third farmer is somewhat justified, because it was still possible to actually connect from the top.
Oh, of course it's justified. Yeah, there's no question about that. And if anything, it scores 3 points. That's already worth something. But now Megot will be able to successfully connect to the field as.
Does he actually connect, or does he just, score for the city?
Well,
for 10 points.
Yeah, probably a score for the city actually, but then. Yeah, he does that. Yeah, he doesn't need to connect. Because I think the Australian is counting tiles, and he knows that this connection is no longer possible. He has the 2 versus 1 majority on the field. Mr. Knives finally with a scoring tile gonna get his desperately needed 5 points. But at this point, desperation isn't gonna cut it either. Still, there isn't anything better than that move. Unless you're still hoping for a curve, you might want to drop another farmer somewhere, but at this point, like, now that Megot has not connected to the field, as the Belgian, you have to ask yourself, why didn't he do that? And this is when you recount the tiles, and this is when you realize that there are no curves remaining. I mean, still, he should probably try and find some sort of optimal endgame. What do I see? Yeah, maybe 5 points now. Then we get more points when we complete our city. And then with our last couple of tiles, we try and drop a farmer maybe like this at the bottom and go through the outside of a curvy tile, or the outside of a dagger, namely. Yeah, so we do see the scoring move. The 5 points are added to the scoreboard of the Belgian. Megot gets a city tile. I don't think he now can lose this game even if he wanted to, but also I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
For the funsies, I'm trying to figure out the remaining tiles. I'm not sure if you have already them in mind. So far, it's like road triangle and a starting tile.
A dagger.
Seems to be a dagger, okay. And then a quad city also seems to be left.
Unless it was discarded, but sure. Presumably it has to be a quad city.
I don't believe it has, because if it has, then there's also another tile which has been discarded, because it's an equal number of tiles left in the deck, and it's Megot's turn, who hasn't started.
All right, so there's something else. A cow, I think. No, a horse.
Yeah. Okay.
Which actually, well, okay, now it's over, but there was still a possibility before this move for 71 Knives to complete his max scoring plan of getting his city over here and then getting a sequence of tiles that actually allows him the connection of the field, because there were 2 curvy tiles still available.
He can still now attack the field, though, right? Like with an inch of armor from the bottom.
Oh, from that side, yeah, that's actually doable.
Yeah, and now he just has to have like faith that Megot is gonna draw the quad city and can't block, and
Yep, exactly. Then we go there. Yeah, then we get this tile, we finish the road, and then we get like a curve, and then we meeple the road, something like this. Megot Noskill starting a new city at the bottom, hoping for one of the 2 remaining city caps. Wait, so Mr. Knives will be getting 2 tiles, and he needs to hope that these are the dagger and this tile over here. Yeah, that could work. Instead, he just takes 2 points, throwing in the towel. Honestly, like an equally good move.
oh no, there's the quad city.
It would have worked. It would have worked.
Painful.
And also, I think he just didn't see this invasion spot. Like, it's really not obvious, because like you look normally. You look at this road plus road combo over here, and you just very often just disregard this spot as too easily blockable. But toward the end game, when the exact tiles are no, and especially in difficult position, like blockable, schmockable, it just doesn't matter, right? So we know that he could have gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, well, 18 extra points, or 16 rather, sacrificing the 2-point road and getting this field.
It's 7 fields, so 21 points. So 19 points.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not sure. I think I understand this move. I think Mr. Knives was still hoping for a curve here. Because probably, if you're throwing the towel, then you just want to take these 3 points over here. Megot, of course, will now not take these 4 points. He'll just finish his city at the bottom, drop a farmer. And, well, the lucky Belgian wins the coin flip for the starting tile. Look how lucky it is. Unbelievable.
A game-winning tile.
Yeah, not quite. So it will give him 8 points. It will turn a 2-point city into a 6-point city, and will give him a 4-point road. But actually, this wasn't even the highest scoring, the most highest scoring sequence. If you were to just take this Dorito tile over here to score 3 road points, he would then be able to put the starting tile over here, neutralizing the 6-point farmer at the top and taking a 3-point road, which would have netted him 9 points, or even 12 points over 2 turns. This, of course, is inconsequential unless you really like exercising your endgame precision in every single game. Carl just chose, you know what, this one I'm losing, let me just save my brain cells for the next one. A completely legit approach. So, the Australian with a rating upset could be the first Australian ever to compete in the main stage of the Carcassonne Champions League. And we're going to see if Carl has something to respond with in the second game. Do let me know in the chat how your preferences are. Who's rooting for the Belgian? And I know that not many Australians are watching, but if anybody is, make yourselves known too. Oh, right. Yeah, I think the reason. Yeah, thank you for confirming, Wise Maze, that the reason why 71 Knives didn't attack the field was actually that the reinvasion spot at the top from here. Wait, where's my strong tool? Yeah, over here, that was still open. So, yeah, this farmer really, really covered all the bases. All right, are they starting the second game or are they taking a break? They have started. And we already see quite the unorthodox start. So Megot starts a new city, and instead of invading, 71 Knives goes the blocking approach, which statistically, sadly, just doesn't work. And then again, if you want to do that, then ideally you probably want to actually meeple the road instead of the city in any way. So the safer move is typically for the equalization, but maybe Yellow didn't like how things went last game and just decided to spice it up with higher variance. Yeah, so the problem with this sort of move is I don't know exactly how often the block of the square is successful, but at the start of the game, blocking is very, very rarely successful. Like, what can we do? We need to build over here, over here, over here, and over here before Megot gets a single city plus road tile, and of course it doesn't work as the Australian gets his 6 points for the city with a dagger, starts a new road, but only a 3-point advantage from the Australian. Mr. Knives is likely to start a 3-point road, harassing the red city at the bottom, which is exactly what he does. Mr. Megot with another city plus road tile, probably going to complete his city and meeple the road at the bottom like this. There's some other nasty ideas potentially, maybe going over here, trying to respond with a block. Do you prefer the simple move for the Australian here, or do you have something more creative in mind, Otto?
I think just the simple move of finishing the city and mapling the road is well, best in my eyes, actually. Because even though we could restrict the city of Carl, it would also create a platform on our own 1-point city on the other side, and we could get in trouble. So rather just wait for some other tile to not lose out on a city cap value and possibly get our own meeple blocked in the worst scenario. Because there's like absolutely no need for that shenanigans to do when you are, winning on the scoreboard 10-3.
And the Australian does, obviously, yeah, he agrees with you because I asked you after he made the move. But now, interesting move from Carl. Probably the best move, actually, just trying to continue his city at the same time, entering in a slightly more advantageous mini battle against Megot's road. Megot doesn't have a really good move to start a new city, so he might start a field. No, he doesn't. He goes for a city tile, and I think this is the chance for Mr. Knives to get himself a meeple majority, perhaps, going over here and trying to block the square by committing it first to a triple city. But instead he chooses to meeple a city cap, which makes sense also to neutralize the city cap, and it works out like a charm. He just knew that Megot had the tile that would have freed up him the meeple. He probably needs to place it there right now, because really, as red, you don't want to risk your opponent drawing something like a starting tile, getting 8 points, and compromising the integrity of 2 of your meeples. This probably looks just as good. Yeah, I mean, you are not able to block the square, but also, is blocking the square really that important? But he's still thinking. I wonder if there are any ideas. Maybe he wants to ignore the square and just go over here, take 2 points, and then create this L-shaped formation to get a Dorito here, block the square, block the meeple of yellow. Do you have any other candidate moves, Otto, other than the obvious one?
Well, oh my God, he actually does what I was thinking at first, which is just adding a shielded tile for yourself. But this was my initial idea, but then I just thought about it for a moment, and I was like, no, this is not a worthy move, because you are always going to lose. Well, okay, not always. You are not always are you going to lose that mini battle with your 4-point road against an 8-point city, because there's a chance that you draw a road triangle and then you maybe equalize the city. But like, this move makes sense because it gives you a shielded tile. It gives you a good somewhat developed city, and you never run a risk of getting your road meeple stuck. But I don't believe that Megot has actually thought this through as much, because this city of his is easily attackable. Well, it was easily attackable from the moment he placed that triple city to his city, and for the most part, you are not really going to be the one who is going to placing any tile on that city of knives, even if it was the road triangle. So I don't think there's all that many winning scenarios for Megot with this move here. I really dislike it.
Yeah, like, it looks fancy, like you want to be greedy with those shields, but there are very, very few positive scenarios. Like, you have to finish that city, get some sort of curve, and then the Dorito tile, and then block here. Is just so many things need to happen. The most likely outcome, I don't know, like 71 Knives is going to get a barbed wire tile here, finish the 8-point city after all, and also to rub it in, score 2 points over here. And just as you said about the easy attackability of a red city, yellow takes care of that in no time. After red had invested another city cap, red in the meantime attacks yellow city, which is not as damaging for yellow as this attack is for red. Red starts a 5-point monastery. That actually gives him a good advantage in this game. Very nice position, controlling this road end. He now gets to connect to this road as well, and also get himself a monastery point. Or maybe he wants to do that pre-block thing. So what he could do, he could go with the curve over here, and then hope that he gets a Dorito tile before Mr. Knives gets a city cap over here. But of course, this is the greater priority. This is a move which nets 3 instant points to Megot, 1 for the monastery and 2 for the road equalization, and just improves this monastery positionally as well.
Yeah, this is gonna sound harsh, like very harsh, but I don't think Megot is on the level of doing these pre-block kind of stuff moves. I think he's missing out on a lot of potential scoring and the large picture in many games.
Well, but let's see what he does with the next curve, right? Because I think, like, if you make a move like this, which again, like, it's not the best move, but it's sort of like creative, right? Like, if you're gonna make a move like this, then this pre-block idea is something that you have to see or have to know, because like, when you're making this move, then you must be imagining some sort of benefit that will come after, and the most beneficial outcome for red is that pre-block thingy. So, well, we're gonna test this idea soon enough because there's still 7 curves remaining, and Megot will draw one of them soon. Although, I mean, there's a case to be made for building up his monastery as well. Maybe his plan is just to simply invade the city and then get to Dorito and just finish a 4-point road. But then it seems to be quite a lot of trouble for a 4-point road when it could have been a 3-point road in the first place. Well, anyway,
I want you for a quick moment steal your attention to the move of knives with the cow tile, which he used to connect to the city of Megot on the right, because that does remove the option of Megot getting the splitter and getting away with the 10-point city momentarily. But the splitter thing, but the splitter idea is still now available, and maybe even worse than it was before. But what this move does is that it's going to take away, in all likelihood, some tiles from knives very, very soon in being able to complete his 8-point city, or the city is going to get attacked. So I'm not sure if his move with the cow was really all that great. I think I might have actually preferred to even add the cow tile to my own part of the city on the right, and just try to limit the potential connection platform to a city road, just to prevent that splitter idea, and still have like not any pressure on my potential 8-point city.
Well, yeah, I certainly have to agree that the splitter has become more dangerous, but there was another interesting move to be considered, making the same move but with the cow tile, with the city tile facing downwards, just to get the chance of getting a Dorito, which would then threaten the invasion of this guy with the right circumstances, which would actually disallow Megot's idea of getting a Dorito to free up his road.
That is interesting.
Yeah, but, well, this did happen, and this idea on the right is still up for grabs, but maybe actually 71 Knives wanted it, given he's a bit behind on the scoreboard and the monastery and stuff like this. Maybe he's planning to draw the splitter tile and make this invasion, especially since he might be a bit tilted after the first game. And he's thinking about city invasions, just different kind of city invasions, as his last turn with the starting tile, he's trying to take over this, I'm still going to call it city, in all likelihood ruin, but for now it is a city worth around 10 points. It will now be effectively neutralized by Megot, who's probably going to go over here and add some points to his side, and then maybe block the square and enter a winning mini battle, developing his side of the ruin on the left.
What do you reckon of the vanilla move of knives? I don't think it's that good.
Well, I can understand it. So the idea, of course, is to protect, is to restrict the blocking square that protects the square, that makes it more likely that he'll invade, and in the process, he's also adding an extra point to what is, in his mind, going to be his city, and bringing it one step closer to completion. It's okay. Like, if you're gonna, because like if you're going to proceed with this plan, then this continuation makes sense. I mean, with the city cap, definitely it pains me to spend a city cap like this. But he really seems to want to make the game a bit more volatile. Like earlier, block instead of connecting. Here, setting up the splitter. Here, invading. So he's just hungry for some sort of big feature. He maybe just doesn't feel that small ball Carcassonne will be enough for him to win in this position. All right, we have quite a lot of questions from the chat, actually. Hi, Ludo. Indeed, some content moves from Carl. Yeah, so Wiseman is suggesting for red to block this square towards a 50-50 at some point, but it's certainly a reasonable suggestion, but then it doesn't make sense together with this move as a plan, because if you're okay with this meeple being blocked, well, why make it stuck in a mini battle? You could have just taken it off and then left this meeple over here. So yeah, the 50-50 thing is doable, but this sort of sequence seems to me the logical continuation of the plan if they're not gonna place the triple city tile where it naturally belongs. Wise Maze is saying with 2 Doritos and 1 cow left, Megot could also try to build his own city and then block with a curve. Not sure where exactly you would build that new city.
Referring to the city on the left, where Megot now directed his city to the right towards the large shared city.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was also an option, actually, especially since it's a shielded tile. It's like going over here. But I think maybe just because Red liked his position so much, he kind of figured that I'm a few points ahead. If I just place this tile over here, which he absolutely has to now, then like this will be a strategically important win, because this effectively, so entering a winning battle, entering a winning mini battle is effectively the same as adding the said number of points to the scoreboard. So you place over here, you add 3 for the scoreboard, and you have the space for expansion. These couple of extra city points could matter in a close position like this, where there are already multiple block meeples per side. This is exactly what he does. This square is now blocked. I wonder what Knife is now going to do. He has 3 interesting moves. He could either finally finish his city that he was hoping for, get the 8 points, and give his opponent the 4-point road. So actually he would net not that much. So he would net... That would be just a 3-point move for his opponent, because it would turn a 1-point advantage into a 4-point advantage. I mean, that would be just 3-point for Knife. So I even wonder if that's worth doing. Another move, of course, he could continue his city at the bottom, trying to build an 8-point city quickly enough. A third move, he could just place the city cap over here, sacrifice a point, but make sure that Megot's city does not develop further. So, Otto, do you have a favorite between these options, or do you prefer something else entirely?
Well, I certainly do not fancy the third option. Even though it is sometimes painful to see ruins grow.
Like now.
Like now. I very, very rarely do that stuff myself. I rather just try to use like less valuable tiles, like curves and straight lines and all other road tiles. Just like build around it, but not use. But specifically try not to use city caps just to end a ruin which is already losing for me. Especially if he has, or if I, for that matter, have multiple cities open. Like, pretty much the only situation where I would consider actually closing a ruin of my opponent is if I can be comfortable that not being able to add extra points to my opponent, not being able to add extra points to the ruin by my opponent is going to like actually matter, which happens more or less when you are in a big meeple disadvantage as the opponent, or when you have no meeples at all, which is not the case here.
And there's another factor at play, and that's the remaining number of big tiles for city expansion. So when it comes to this ruin expansion, Megot actually drew the best tile possible. He drew the last possible extender, whilst many of the big tiles, especially the roadless ones, because normally there's not a good place to place them, and the tiles which matter most for ruin development, they have already gone out, which means that there's not that much in the deck left to hurt you, and just taking these immediate 3 points seems to be more worth it. Well, Megot now chickens out of Monastery. I can understand that strategically, but I generally prefer to meeple stuff, and I think this is not an exception. It's not that risky, and there's so many positive scenarios, but he ends up without this Monastery. As Carl tries to block that ruin, a slightly misplaced priority if you ask me. I probably would have tried to block the Monastery instead. As Megot would have been able to defend either way, but now he very nicely consolidates, maybe slightly regretting why there isn't a 6-point Monastery meeple over here. Also controlling Yellow City, so Yellow here getting a bit of a break. And need to remind you that even though Red has the advantage with the Monastery and with the Ruin and with the extra scoreboard point, a splitter, whoever draws a splitter first will get the advantage afterwards. So we'll be patiently waiting for this until one player either draws it or Red maybe gets something like a city cap and decides to sacrifice points simply for the sake of eliminating that option from his opponent.
There's also this 6-point road in the middle, which is just awaiting to be grabbed, and it's essentially going to be worth 12 points because it gives you 6, but it also prevents your opponent from getting 6.
Yeah, and I think it was Yellow actually who plays the tile here, and I like that idea because it just makes things more volatile. Yellow now attacking another road, which sure, yeah, why not? He will be running a bit short on meeples, but he is in a position where he needs to catch up on the scoreboard as well, especially once Megot finishes a 9-point Monastery and makes this square super vulnerable. So actually, as Mr. Knives, you might have to go over here like this just to save the integrity of the square, because 3 dagger tiles, 3 right-hand dagger tiles have gone out. So with a single curve, the square is blockable. Instead, Mr. Knife decides to play a bit more risky, which actually makes a lot of sense. Trying to get away with the road, maybe drawing some sort of road end soon, potentially dropping a farmer, or maybe not yet. And simply trying to draw a city tile to continue his city before Megot draws a curve to block, considering that there are only 3 regular curves remaining in the deck. Megot now with a city cap, thinking whether to start a new city over here and trying to inflict the kind of hurt that he was able to do in the semi-final match a couple weeks earlier. Overrunning the big city, or he might, yeah, this is exactly what he does, or he might just cover up the square, or he might just go over here, but this is what he does. Mr. Knives with a straight line, probably going to add a point to his road, also adding the integrity to his road. Megot with a curve now has to block this square. I don't see any other priorities. Let's see if they are counting their daggers and knowing how crucial this move is. It looks like they're thinking about it.
Would you reckon the defense would have been more in order for Knives with the straight road?
Well, given that there's still 5 crossroads remaining to separate, I like the risky move of Knives, because there's just so many other things that we can do. Oh, look about the perfect timing as Megot got the splitter and was able to take advantage of this opportunity, but Mr. Knives gets this defensive move. Definitely well worth this point sacrifice, shouldering away this meeple over here and maybe starting a potential blocking attack. So I would have liked the defense move if not for this road situation over here. I guess once you start attacking and with few regular curves remaining and with many crossroads remaining, you kind of need to go here first. It just scores too much. With, losing this meeple is bad, but still, like, it's possible to win. Because when Knives gets his road end, he'll get 2 meeples back. He'll have 3 on the score, 3 in his hand, and typically you only need the number of the remaining tiles times 10. No, divided by 10. That's the yeah. I know 30 meeples would be 300 meeples would be amazing, of course, but maybe you don't need that much in order to win. Megot with an interesting move, and actually Mr. Knives has a chance to make something super interesting here as well. He could help Megot in his attack, because the point, of course, is that he's starting a 1-point city. He's not leaving a city cap behind, and he's having his backdoor chances of getting a Dorito plus the last cow tile. I wonder if it makes sense for Mr. Knives to actually help Red put this tile over here, and then just simply hope that Yellow is going to get the last cow tile himself. Or maybe are we not desperate that yet? Yellow decides that we're not. And given the fact that there were still 2 splitters available, that could go over here and help Megot with a 6-point city. Yeah, that makes it even more worth doing, according to the Belgian. Megot with a scoring tile should be a pretty easy 3 points. Not sure if there's anything else to consider.
Yeah, I don't believe Knives is actually that much behind. Like though he does have to get his meeples back from the road quite soon-ish, I would say, just to be able to make use of the monastery spot on the right and or possibly attack the shared city on the right after having gotten the crossroad. But if he only gets one monastery or gets the 6-point road in the middle, that might or probably will not still be enough, depending on when he gets the crossroad, or if he ever gets the crossroad, to free up his meeples, as long as the dangers of Megot and his 1-point city at the top is lingering.
Yeah, it kind of seems that one of these meeples at the top has to come out alive, because we don't really have a chance to block both of them. There's still, of course, this chance of this tile being drawn. This is exactly what happens, and I think Megot has to go for it. Because if he doesn't do this now, if he doesn't place this tile over here, then the move of 71 Knives potentially getting a Dorito tile and curving it inwards becomes a bit more dangerous, but maybe not. Given that the 2 splitter tiles are still available, maybe just going over here, developing his ruin on the left is doable as well. Because now that I think about it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's only 1 Dorito tile remaining. Wait. This would be a bad move.
Yeah.
Because this would be only connecting to this ruin 50-50 with a 50-50 chance. The ruin is not that big in the first place, and that would be quite easily blockable with a couple of tiles at the top. So going over here does seem like the play, and actually, given that there's only 1 Dorito tile remaining, this meeple at the top is super safe. Mr. Knives here did something interesting by trying to block Red City at the right. It's still going to require a couple of moves, I believe, because there's still 2 dagger tiles remaining. Of course, he now has to proceed with this plan, but it will cost him 2 road points. And the good thing about going over here is that it's a Sophie's Choice block, because Red needs the dagger over here, but Red also needs the dagger over here to score the road. And in some scenarios, Red gets the first dagger, Red goes over here, and then Yellow gets the second dagger, and because of this restriction over here, Yellow makes sure that this 6-point road is free for him in the future. Megot now with an interesting road tile. There are no available road ends, so he can't score. He can meeple a monastery, but that's really risky. I mean, I do it anyway, but it's really risky. Yeah, Otto, like, what
Is
are
it
your
though?
ideas?
'Cause, yeah, I think honestly just meepling a monastery is fine because I mean there are still plenty of city caps and Knives does want to get his meeples back from the road, so that will that would also get Megot a maple back as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we're actually not in a threat of being meapless for too long. The city cap at the top is spectacularly safe. So the only downside of Meeple and Monastery is the fact that we'd be losing value from the 3 city-less crossroads that are remaining in the deck, but that seems like a small price to pay. Instead, Megot uses it to create an attacking platform against the road. Doesn't work as Mr. Knife gets yet another straight line to continue his road, and Mr. Megot now gets a starting tile, presumably to free up his city at the top, and this is exactly what happened. 17 points on the scoreboard, extra for the Australian, and 17 and a meeple as well.
Oh, this is going to be really painful because that straight road that Megot plays not only tried to cause issues for the Road of Knives, but it also made it completely impossible for Knives to actually attack the shared city because all cows are gone.
Right, yeah, so even if we go over here on the right with a Dorito and a city cap, then the threat of overrunning the city will not be possible. But before that move, there were still horses available, so actually Mr. Knives could have gotten a city cap and just hoped for the last horse, trying to get a 20-point city, which would have been enough for him to win the game. So now he has a monastery, and I start wondering, like, do we meeple it? Are we that desperate? Because, like, there's still 5 crossroads and a horse tile, so two horses? 2 horses, right, yeah, so there are, like, 7 road end tiles remaining. So we can still go here.
We are gonna be that desperate here. Because we are now 17 points behind. We are in a losing mini battle against the Ruin, so that's like minus 23. Then we have 24, 21, 20, 15, like minus 10, and we were down on meeples. So it is pretty incredibly difficult situation for Knives. But this is why we meeple the monastery, and this is why we trust that we get the crossroad, which we do. Now, the only kind of an ugly thing here is that we will have to add points to Megot's Ruin if we ever want to get the monastery meeple back, which is a big if, which I don't think is actually going to be the reality. Because with 2 meeples and 16 tiles, I don't think we will ever be even wanting to see the trouble of getting that monastery back in our hands. We just want to get the points for it whilst we could.
Yeah, and that makes me think that maybe placing this 6-point monastery would have been way better, because this would have, first of all, avoided the necessity to add an extra point, and second, this would actually given a better chance for us to complete the monastery, because we could add a regular Dorito tile over here, which is still existent, and add the city point in addition to our road points as well. So finally, Mr. Knives gets his road meeple back. Only 7 points behind on the crossroads, but behind on meeples as well. Megot's probably going to take care of one of the city caps, I presume. Maybe there can be some other move available to the Australian here.
I honestly reckon if Knives gets like anything but a city cap, his instinct should be to take the 6-point field. And because it now has an open city cap also, it's going to be a 9-point field, and it's going to be most likely, I think, a key factor in this game.
And also the good news for Mr. Knives is that Megot has no way of occupying this field for himself. This tile just wouldn't fit. So a scenario that I see, maybe he chooses to clean off the rightmost city cap. Then Mr. Knives gets some sort of road tile and places the farmer over here, controlling the new city as well. But then if Mr. Knives meeples the other city over here, I doubt if there are even tiles remaining to complete it. Or if he meeples the city tile like this, with the city tile turning to the left, well, then this square will be blockable. So there isn't a perfect move available for red in this position at all. He goes for that.
Oh, what? Well, that is a content move if we have ever seen one. Well, first of all, I gotta say I don't like it one bit. But secondly, I have to say that wow, this is very. I don't know if greedy is even enough of a word to describe this move. How many curves are there?
Just 2. That's the thing.
Oh my god! Like he. No, just no. Oh. Oh no 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 no! And Megot, oh my god!
And Megot got the curve.
What is this sequence? And Knives blocked himself out of the field, even without the curve in Megot's hand.
Yeah. Ouchie, ouchie. Well, at least he gets the coin flip for this tile over here. But like this pre-invasion tactic, it actually is a strong one in general. Like when you can't meeple an important field, you can meeple the field next to it and then hope to invade it in the future. Like with the lead and only 2 curves remaining, that was insanely risky. And leaving a 6-point city behind, it was still insanely risky. Oh dear. Okay, well, Mr. Knives gets the 6-point road. And this field at the right, only 6 points anyway. And if Knives gets the second dagger tile, he'll able to get this 6-point city as well. And also deny Megot the recovery of this meeple as well. So this is nowhere near close to being over. A move from Megot is probably going over here. Taking care of this city is in order, or maybe something else will occur. You know, I will not try and predict any of the players' moves anymore. Maybe Otto, you want to do it?
Actually, I am gonna just stick with the 2 points and just more or less destroy the 6-point city at the bottom, even though there, I think, still is a divider remaining.
Yep. One of those remaining, but Knives doesn't get it. He gets still a scoring tile, probably can still score 2 points. I don't see necessarily a field that's worth meepling. Unless, of course, he wants to go here and, like, attack the fields of red like this, which he should never do. But maybe going over here to the right. Okay, no, not there. Check this out. There was such a cool sequence available. If we were to go on the right, take 2 points, then we could have later drawn a curve, dropped a farmer like this, then gotten the last dagger and connected through the outside. Also meepling a 6-point city, so that would have been like a 17-point sequence. Will not happen. As just a simple 2-point move occurs. Megot with probably another 2-point move. I don't think there's really anything else.
And also noteworthy that actually no, there's nothing noteworthy. I was gonna say that maybe it's probably better to take points from a road rather than adding to his ruin, because maybe there is a scenario where Knives gets the divider and then attacks the ruin. But now that I think about it, I don't think there is any anything that would connect to the ruin. I think it's all gone.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 Doritos gone indeed. So that's pretty interesting. So maybe Megot is trying to bait his opponent into a miscount, which is a possibility. Now Mr. Knives has actually a chance to meeple an excellent 6-point monastery, which I think we should do, and also set up a splitter for a 7th point. He will be getting that 7th point regardless, either by completing the city himself or by Megot completing a 6-point city. So a splitter will go in that square. An alternative is try to stack monasteries, but we're at a stage of the game where stacking is just not as effective. The highest scoring spot is probably what we're looking for. So a 6-point monastery is just as good as a 6-point field, and probably even better. Let's see if he pulls the trigger on it.
Okay, so as Knives, we are at the moment -5.
Only?
And yep.
Which means we are 1 quick point tile away from the lead. So like we go over here. First of all, we are then in the lead with 1 point. And then if we get a dagger tile, then we're looking good. Or we get a splitter tile, we're looking good. I mean, and if we get the splitter tile and the dagger, then we win.
Yeah, it doesn't actually take all that much. But we do have to win those key coin flips, and I
get the idea behind this move. I disagree with it, and it's not gonna matter because Mr. Megot just... Oh yeah, he doesn't even have to finish his city. He simply chooses to take 9 points by finishing a 6-point city. Mr. Knives here.
Because we have to meeple us as Knives. Like we can meeple the field later, like after one or the other of the players has taken the 6 points for with the divider from the 6-point city at the bottom. Like we don't need to meeple it straight away, even though it does give an extra point to our monastery. Like I do think that a better move would be just straight up taking the 6-point monastery next to the 6 points. Next to the potential 6-point city, and just have faith on getting either the final dagger or the divider.
Okay. Ooh, that's a fantastic move. This is setting up. I guess like that's why what he's going for this move. He's actually trying to complete the monastery. So he's trying to draw one of the 2 remaining vertical splitter tiles that would give him 7 points and a meeple back. So with a splitter here and a splitter here, maybe things could happen. So for example, a move that Megot could just make is simply place a curve over here and eliminate the this splitter idea. And this is exactly what he does. This is an excellent move from the Australian, and 71 Knives gets the... I just join in you making the noises, because this, of course, is the move that will win the Australian the game, and the first time ever access for the Australia. You have an idea?
Check this. We have 2 of the 2 dividers remaining. We can potentially place this splitter to the left and pointing actually wherever, and try and just wish for the 2 remaining splitters. Yeah, actually, it doesn't matter which way this points, because the 2 divider spot next to the monastery is unblockable. Yeah, I thought I had like a wonderful idea, but then turned out that it was just blatantly place the city cap anywhere.
Yeah, well, one of the splitter tiles is drawn by Megot anyway, which will further his lead by probably 1 point, although there's a variety of ways how he could use this tile. Starting a field at the top is perfectly fine. But yeah, I just wanted to address this move earlier. So had this monastery been placed over here, the brilliant blocking move by Megot would not have been possible, and 71 Knives would have gotten the 6 points over here and the extra monastery point as well, and still a potential chance to actually finish his monastery too.
Furthermore, if we really want to like squeeze in the value, then we place the 6-point monastery to the spot you mentioned, where the curve is now, and even like if we get the tube dividers, then we don't really lose that much value because we can just place the first tube divider just below the monastery, which will provide us with another city cap, which we can use a vanilla or the other tube divider then. And like still, the regular splitter tile spot for the 6-point city is still unblockable because there is no tile with city plus road.
Right. So then at least one of the splitter tiles is drawn by 71 Knives, and his idea of completing the monastery does work out, except that it does give him a meeple bag, but he won't be able to use his meeple. That he has 2 meeples in hand and only 1 tile to play, which I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He doesn't necessarily need to go over there. I'm not sure if there's even an invasion tile available for Megot. Yeah, I think this was simply an attempt to clean off a city cap, but then is the last tile a city cap? No, it isn't. I think that's a bit of a miscalculation here for Megot. I mean, it's probably not going to cost him the game, although it's getting dangerously close. Yeah, so that was a bit of a miscalculation, making a 0-point move instead of a 3-point move. Just as we were celebrating on behalf of the Australian, maybe albeit too prematurely, as the players exchange their highest scoring moves. I believe that the ruin is what should give the advantage ultimately to Megot. Let's see if this is true. This is going to be kind of close-ish. The ruin was 10 points, though. It is really a lot of points. And wait, is that a 3-point difference only? As Mr. Knives has 3 extra field points comparison to Megot.
Wow, it is a lot tighter game than I actually expected to be.
Yeah, because these city caps, they really ended up doing a lot for 71 Knives. So he was actually like 1 draw away. Maybe with a dagger tile would have done it for him. Maybe just getting the splitter a little bit earlier before this block by Megot would have done it for him. But of course, ultimately the move that won the Australian the game and the tournament and a spot for the first time ever in the Carcassonne Champions League was this beautiful block over here, denying 71 Knives easy 9 points and holding on to his narrow 3-point lead. So congratulations to any Australians that might be watching or just Australian fans. Yes, Wise Mays agree that this move over here deserves an exclamation mark. For those of you who are familiar with chess, those of you will know what it means. Anything to add, Otto, to what we just witnessed?
No, I believe we've seen. How would I phrase this? I believe we've seen a quite classy performance from the Australian experts here, and to his credit and to my own discredit, I might have given him too little credit, based on the performances that he has now given in the qualifiers altogether. Of course, I still do think that there's a lot to learn for him, and perhaps from him. But despite these subtle mistakes at the end, I do believe he played quite risk-free, despite a couple slips. But let's disregard the first field meeple, and then come into a conclusion that Megot took a pretty risk-free win and is now headed to the big boy leagues.
Actually, now that I think about this, I don't think, like, without that extravagant farmer, I don't think Megot would have won. Because if he doesn't get this 9-point field, right? Again, okay, I guess he gets like this. If he doesn't get this 9-point field, then 71 Knives get there a bit earlier. No, he probably still wins.
Yeah, but and there's also the case that, you know, if Megot just meeples the 2-point city and Knives goes with the crossroad, 4 goes to 2 points, just take the field, then Megot is going to perhaps eventually still just finish the city, and then it's either going to force Knives to perhaps spend a tile for defense, because he has to get rid of the potential attacking spot to the field, which has now been created by the finishing of the city, and that extra meeple of Megot might potentially get to the southern field instead, because Knives would only then have 1 meeple instead of 2 at the time of meepling the 12-point field.
Right.
So
yeah.
there's there's all kinds of factors that can still change, even like, you know, even with the switch of strategy to the potentially maybe the better one is not the right word, but maybe to the more calling one for you and me.
Well, you're being quite diplomatic here, but yeah, I think the what ifs, when we consider those, there's a lot of factors to be at play, especially the fact that, you know, yellow would have had a meeple over here, which would have not allowed yellow to build up the 12-point field in the center. So there's only so much damage that yellow could have done. Yeah, ended up working out quite well for the Australian. So they will be moving on. Just a bit of a recap of their tournament journey, managing to, like, if you look at the bracket, so that's Q2, Q2-1. Hi 71 Knives, my commiserations. So it was a spectacular game nonetheless. So yeah, obviously we have a defeat against the US, a win against the US captain, win against the Greek player with screen name Asketos, which I think is the second highest rated player in Greece. Then obviously the upset that we've been talking about for so long against our special guest here, only losing to the experienced visitor queue of Catalonia. So yes, like, if you look at this pool, you probably maybe wouldn't really anticipate Australia winning it all, but this is exactly what happened, and we'll be looking at them very carefully in the actual group stage. So the one thing that remains now is to have a look at another couple of games. Now, of course, the tournament was supposed to conclude today, but as deadlines work, they're typically not what usually happens. So at some point, unbeknownst to us. This match was happening earlier between Crocodile Fundy and Hognai of Norway. I wouldn't have been able to stream it anyway just because I had a very, very busy day against Miss Penguin. Very happy that I managed to win that one, so I will be also joining the play between the Megot Noskill in the main stage of the Carcassonne Champions League. That's from Qualification 4. Megot of Spain managed to defeat Nizhny of Poland in the third group of the first qualification. So there's really not that much that remains. 2 matches only tomorrow, 10 a.m. that will be streamed together with another special guest. Zitakudo Traps versus Japan against Siegfried of Hungary. So this is also for all the marbles. Consolidated final. The loser is out. The winner gets to the main stage, and this time this one will remain unknown. Hopefully it is scheduled soon enough and definitely before the end of the year. I'm pretty sure the organizers are on it. So two
Iconically,
more...
also to point out, Sanaki is actually the player who played the first two matches, actually, I think, of the whole qualifiers, and he will seemingly be the player who will play also the last match.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting point. And also, I guess that's because it takes 2 people to schedule a match, so... Hopefully we'll manage to catch a glimpse of that as well. So, Kraukle, we haven't caught on stream. We did get a piece of Sanaki in his match against the Estonia player with screen in Warsaw that ended in a very interesting way, that Sanaki actually lost that match to 0, but then it turned out that one of the games was lost by the Estonian on time, giving him the win. So they were forced to meet again and play a decider, and Sanaki won that one. So it also was hanging by a thread multiple times. Hi, Dagius. Thanks for watching. So 10 a.m. is the stream tomorrow. That's UTC time. And the only things that remain are reminders to meeple the like button. That's important for the algorithm. Also, if you're here for the first time and if you want more competitive Carcassonne content like this, make sure to subscribe and click the bell notification icon, because if you don't, you're not going to get notifications for newer streams. There's going to be a lot of those coming up. Well, only 2 matches remain, but soon enough, the main stage of the CCL is going to start. The Mind Sports Olympiad at the end of January, and before that, at the 31st of January, time to be determined. I'm gonna have a special stream, special New Year's stream for viewers as well. Just some casual games against viewers, but that's gonna be both Carcassonne and Azul as well, and quite a long stream to be covered 2 days from now. So stay tuned for the announcement. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.